Hello, everybody. I hope you are all doing well out there in the cosmos, not just Earth, but the whole cosmos. It's me, Empty Turtle. I'm here with Dr. David Jubb, and this is JUBBTALK from No Mind Radio. And we got a good show for you today. It's all about Dr. Jubb. Where has he been? Doctor, how are you doing?
Good, mate. It's amazing, of course, because it's like, where can you have been? I think the very things which has been very interesting to me has been to be able to find things that's about longevity. And so I've gone places to actually learn how do stones get dissolved, how do you dissolve metal, and the ancient technology of dissolving metal and metallurgy itself. So the discovery of these things, but even at a young age, I was really into rocks and everything. And so, I saw that a comet, for instance, was ice and rock and everything. And I actually witnessed these come into the ocean, in my youth.
We're sorry to interrupt.
In Bass Strait in Tasmania.
But Dr. Jubb, were you also into rock music?
No, but yes, I would listen to the water pass through on the rocks and hear the rocks through the earth, and so I could hear such a beautiful music of the rocks always talking to me when I would be close to a river, and I would always be listening. But then also too, I could always lay down on the earth and I could feel the movements of the earth.
Let me ask you, Doctor, the rock, to everybody, it looks like it's an inanimate object and that it'll just stay where it is unless somebody messes with it. Do rocks give out any kind of energy?
Oh yeah. For instance, a rock like a bolide could form from water, from a plasma discharge, which takes that to over 10,000 degrees in a second, and so it transforms everything that's there in an instant, and can make it a rock around an animal, which over time it rounded its. You can break them open and you can see
find fossils. Oh, and ladies and gentlemen, you were in for a treat today because that was Jubb, Dr. Jubb, playing the flute. Is there a name for that flute that you were playing?
It's a Native American flute, yes, and it really is in a time of Kokopale, who brings the flute to everyone, the sound of the flute, yes.
Well, it was beautiful. I loved it. Yeah. Now, Dr. Jubb, where have you been? There's 192 countries. How many of those countries do you think you've been to?
Maybe 99 at least.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah. But so, for instance, for me, I saw that it was a big event that had made the Ice Age, 13,000 years ago. It made sense that it was a cluster of comets, more or less, because they don't ever just, one. No, you see. So I knew that it could have been a string of these, and they always break up with the tidal gravitational tidal pools, and these big huge bolides always are with lots of others anyway, but they can all break up into 10 pieces, for instance, and come to line up, sort of thing. And so as that comes in, it can truly be over a wide area, but at 12,969 years ago, you've got a cluster that hits the northern hemisphere. You see, yes,
Okay.
which it vaporizes so much water and thrusts all the water up onto the land, and suddenly you've got a new ice sheet over an old ice sheet. Yes.
Okay.
But you've got ice that goes all the way down to New York, yes, and lower, and all the way down here where Nevada is relative. See, yes.
Wow.
And
I don't see any
you've got
ice.
miles of ice over the top.
Wow.
But below that, up in the Northmore, you have an older ice sheet that it all went over the top of. Yes.
Okay.
And around about 8,000, 498 BC, around about then time, it's sort of like a moment that marks a moment that something occurs, but we do see that water of the ice that was below, it's got a different fresh waterness to it.
Okay.
In relation to relative to the
What's on top of
ice
it?
on top, and the ice on top is massive, miles, right? And the below ice melts, and it floods underneath the ice.
Oh, okay. It
And,
starts running underneath. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me,
And when that happened, it floods out into the Atlantic, yes,
okay.
north,
All right.
massive, and it doesn't mix with the seawater, right? It's cold and dense, and it stays there, and ice forms above, and the ice sheet all falls out for some moment in time, and after that, you see, that ice melts below, and slowly then the ice sheet retreats, and then when this happens, you can see this happening, and this is the story of Atlantis that was in the middle of the Atlantic there, as it becomes flooded. And there's various phases and stages of its floodedness and things, yes? And evidence of these things have gone on around the earth.
Now, this is relevant because one of the things of where you've been, you did some kind of map work for somebody, right? Who did something for somebody in New York.
I've got a unique ability in non-Euclidean math and insight into things that's like that. I had a good mate who wanted to learn a lot about what this is, yes, and he happened to be the very person that'd be involved more in the making of Google itself, in the management of mapping, and how do you do that, you see? Yes, and during that period of time, it was for me to have ease of ability to be able to look at the seafloor, and slow but sure all of that starts to get sort of covered up a bit. But it was for me to be able to see all the various civilizations that had happened, when the seafloor was dry.
Through satellite imagery.
Or
radar.
Yeah, because
or
you could
whatever.
see that there were moments in time where suddenly it's dry. So where that happens, it's an asteroid or a comet, like what we're talking about, and these always cause all the water, right, to be thrust up onto the land, and that takes like sometimes thousands of years to actually melt. Those glaciers and things. It's like this, and it rains down for a long while. So, and now all the water in some moments in time when the Earth was a bit smaller, right, all the water of the oceans was locked up completely in ice. And so there was eyewitness accounts many times over, and plenty of things corroborate this, that there was hardly any water anywhere, and there wasn't any water in the rivers or anything, yes? And it was a dry period of time and cold, extreme. And these are times when, you've got radical extinctions and things that went on during that period of time as well. So where something goes on like this, you can see sometimes smaller moments have happened as well, like 1117 BC, for instance. And so in history, you can see how various calamity that's gone on has to have shaped and changed the movement of people and their ideas, like the Phoenicians. And so for me, it was like a great journey to learn what has happened in the past, which is in the path of hollow bones. Yeah.
You know why nature takes a long time to do things sometimes? You know why? I'll tell you why. Because nature does what it wants when it wants. Right? Am I right?
No.
What?
Because it's just sort of a whole range of things is all factors with that, isn't it? It's not some of these things like you and I, and well, what are people doing themselves, and what are we doing? I think that there's certain absolute man-made sorts of conditions in the environment that we've impacted radically, and we could change those things by bringing it back and greening the earth.
You're telling me that we are manipulating the weather now.
The very things which one can do to assist to help, like you're pointing out, cause better climate and the discharging of magnetic energy, so rain can fall on terrace like they did in the past. And a whole range of things was done to help ward off discharge by putting paramagnetic rock and things, and planting trees on islands and stuff in the Pacific and things. And so you could see that it's been a great interest for people.
Paramagnetic rock would that be a good thing to have on your property?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, because it always causes insects and things not to be as virulent and that sort of thing, mosquito and stuff. Yeah.
Well, and you know what? We're looking for sponsors, ladies and gentlemen, and I think if there's a company out there that sells paramagnetic rocks, give us a call. You know, maybe we can work something out. I want one.
Oh, well, paramagnetic rocks are everywhere, but
Never mind.
Dolomite, and so as you're getting dolomite, basalt, rock which is come from serpentine and things like that, quite remarkable because it's got a lot of magnesium in the rock, which the mantle has a massive amount of magnesium in it, really, you see.
So magnesium is good, though, for us, right?
Magnesium is a water-loving element, and
that's
it
good.
shows that because our core more is magnesium and things.
Wow.
It will be shown. We're a water body, basically.
Okay. Now, so by being in New York on one of your journeys, and I asked you, you said 99 countries, or should I say 99 corporations? Thank you very much.
Well, somebody couldn't pass through a corporation, actually. It's so imaginary. But the land, but of course, there's a big difference between someone's interpretation of like a word like America. Yeah. It's got 3 definitions.
Really? What are they?
One is from the land.
From the land, I like that.
I mean, yeah.
America.
The land mass, yes. Another definition is the constitutional republic.
Constitutional republic, all right. That's a good one, too. That's 2 out of 3. What's the third one?
The other one is the corporate one, like you said. Corporate. The corporate
so America
USA
Inc?
Corps. Yeah.
America Inc. That's the third one.
Yeah, incorporated. Right.
I don't know which one I like the most.
From the land.
I think that one, yeah. Do I? I don't know.
And,
I like Inc.
No, from the land. Got most of all your rights.
Wow. And so, being in New York on one of your journeys, you're working with this guy, right, that's working on the GPS stuff. You start looking around the planet, which a lot of people, when that stuff came out, Google
I was
Planet,
looking mainly.
everybody was doing it, and I loved it. I enjoyed it. But you got to do it at a really nice level to where you can really look at stuff, and you found, should I say, evidence or reminiscences of Atlantis?
Absolutely, that was my biggest thing, was to look at the sea floor and see when it was dry, and look to see tracks, perfect tracks that go between the continents. and it showed places where platforms were, where the sea floor was, or where a shelf used to be, that roads would go to. Tracks, you see, and they were more direct tracks actually across the sea floor to continent and things. And then I also saw sunken areas that were silted over but left the shape of all the grid, and some of these grids that I saw of cities, like in the southeastern plain, in the Azores, between the Azores and Africa, I see a massive plain there. I mean, this is a gridded city, and of course it's like in a time when a river flowed right through the Sahara. And this was before it got covered over by sand.
I just recently saw pictures
because of
in
the
the Sahara.
tsunami. Yeah.
And there's water in the Sahara right now. I don't know where, but there's like huge flooding, and it's starting to look green a little bit.
Well, when Tonga underwater volcano was artificially blown,
Tonga?
It got 10% more moisture that we have
hold
now.
on a second. You just threw a lot
And we've got
out
10% more moisture in our atmosphere for the next 20 years.
there. So you're saying Tonga was an artificial eruption?
Yeah.
What? Come on. Explain, please.
Well, when things like that happen, you can suddenly get a hell of a lot more water in the atmosphere, and that's what happened. We get 10% more.
Was that a good thing?
These things go on to be, to some degree, changing everything quite. When something radical happens like that, of course it does. It's absolutely creating the conditions of what Earth is experiencing up to some degree, and all the massive amounts of precipitation that's existed for it. Yeah.
Okay. So it could be a good thing, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know that these are good or bad. I just don't think anybody should.
Nobody should have that
artificially
ability.
do anything.
That's right.
That's all. Yeah.
I agree.
But go ahead. But so the seas, you can see, didn't exist in times that and then we had to find water, and so it would be, and where rain and things in what would be habitable relative, and to habitable zones. Yeah.
I bet you they had desalinization back in those days. Huh? Bet you they did.
Well, pretty much I'd say that you could find fresh water somewhere.
Anywhere?
Well, there's freshwater lakes that's been buried over.
Oh, okay. Because,
covered over by pumice first, and massive, sometimes a mile thick of pumice, you have a buried lake.
I think a lot of people in those days of Atlantis, that was one of their favorite things to get from Atlantis was pumice rock for their feet. I believe it.
Well, pumice ends up like from all the volcanoes that go off in the Pacific and things, and you've got pumice floating around everywhere. Right? Yeah.
People will put it to use.
So pretty amazing. I mean, you've got a tale of a shipwrecked sailor, which, that's one of the most oldest stories, and it's told up and down the Nile, and it really is about the flood.
Really?
Yeah, and then you've got the Ark, of course, which is called the Ark, but it's the leftover remain of a ship which got, flooded and left itself on Mount Ararat where it is today.
I heard it carried DNA, not the actual animals, but the DNA for the specific animals. But I don't, that's what I heard.
Yeah, well, DNA perishes.
Really?
Extremely perishable, really. And the idea that a boat could carry something a boat could carry something to Hawaii, and they only ever got things to grow, like you're pointing out, because boat people often came. But then birds did and other things. But the coqui frogs and these sorts of things all just come along, just recent. And they never had that before, so now they have really high.
Florida never had those pythons. Now, out of all those wonderful corporations or countries that you went, which one was the most advanced, or not advanced, but just like the coolest culture? What was your favorite one? How about that?
I would say in the New World, because something is existing, and in the text it says that this message will come more from the West, not the East.
Really?
It says this. So, is it because people can be existing here which really are knowledgeable of common law?
And there it is. Now, out of all the places you went to, the U.S. was the best?
When you're looking at degrees of fascism, aren't you?
No, I'm just looking at it as where you enjoyed, what
there's
country
degrees
you
of fascism. I think that
loved the most out of all that you visited.
I think that the common law countries
were the best.
Subject, object, verb is more the way they think. Subject, object, verb.
Okay.
It's just subject, object, verb.
Okay.
You see, so it's like a logical sort of a way to consider things. And when you read texts in people's mind, you can see where subject, object, verb is. Really fits where the Massa tongue and English is, where we have 26 letters and sounds.
That's what we have.
Yeah.
Anyways, also, you've been to a lot of ancient sites, would you say?
Yeah, well, Shiva, of course, represents I think the temple of Shiva and things like that, just to understand more about that comet that, hit. And, like Bombay High, in the Surat Depression there, it's really in the Indian continent. You've got west of Mumbai, you've got the highest impact, really huge. We've got an antipodal location, which is the exact opposite on the other side of the Earth. So you see these things going on where some massive event has occurred. On the opposite side of the Earth is an antipodal point. And of that in India is in Mesoamerica. Of course, the Shiva impact there in India, the depression, it's near Mumbai, of course, west of it, and it's massive bowl-shaped out depression. It's over 500 kilometres in diameter.
That is big.
That's like, you cannot...
That was probably the coolest site you've been to?
This would annihilate, as if it was a bomb,
the world?
3/4 of America.
Wow. Well, I would like to be in that 1/4 that survives.
But I'm just giving you an idea, exactly, of the size of Shiva.
That's a big one.
You see?
Big one.
It went into the earth and it ripped. It was on a oblique angle more, not come in, no.
Straight down.
No. And it ripped through the earth, and pieces of that came out of the earth. Mm-hmm. It went underneath Indonesia and came out in above Borneo, which you've got the eye of the earth there above Guinea, and just north of New Guinea up there. You've got the eye of the world, where most all the cyclones begin magnetically. You've got this hole.
The eye of the world.
Yeah.
And it's just north of Guinea.
Right, where a piece came out of Shiva when it went into the, west side of the Indian
activity
continent.
Is causing where storms start.
Always today, that's right.
And is that all over the world they start there, or?
No, they start there. All the magnetic disturbance starts there.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's interesting, the ancient people knew. They made man Madol, and they controlled and used various techniques to be able to discharge energy from the cloud to cause it to actually rain, and it would rain on northern New Guinea and all the eastern side of the Philippines, and there's plateaued regions where this went on. And it's sort of really a massive culture must have existed there, and today that one breadbasket would feed all of us.
Wow!
See, it's quite incredible and extraordinary.
That is incredible.
Yeah. So asteroid really and cataclysmic types of things have gone on, and events like this are huge, and you could imagine how much water gets locked up when that happens, and then also, what goes on below the canopy, and what happens when a blackout exists for a long time afterward because there's so much soot up there and cold, and the type of things that goes on. But Shiva, keep in mind, is related to Saturn, yes? So it's Saturn is amongst all the other planets, which is the slowest. But it's like a 40-kilometer diameter.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello, everybody. This is once again MT Turtle. I'm here with Dr. David Jubb. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry to interrupt, but that is it for today. But I love this subject, Dr. Jubb. We are on No Mind Radio, and our podcast is JUBBTALK. And we are continuing our show from the other day of Dr. Jubb. Where have you been? Continued. How you doing, Dr.
Good,
Jubb?
mate, yeah. It is a journey, isn't it, that somebody goes on? But would it be the better journey of a path that is least travelled?
Of course, I say yes.
Yeah, a scout is going to go do things, travel 7 times the distance that maybe someone else would to bring information back as a scout. Yeah, it's sort of one of the very first things that somebody does as a rainbow warrior. But couldn't the programs and things that be actually inducting people into a better way to be, and actually sort of like short-term hypnotherapy?
What?
Well, for instance, like, would it be better that you because you're listening, you tuned in and you're going to be learning about a strategy for eating slender?
Okay.
But then, if it is an eating slender strategy, it doesn't mean that you're not celebrating. Sort of like, so it actually is celebrating, yes? It's just that everything works better. So, for instance, the question I would ask you is, if sugar, naturally sort of bends light to the right,
okay,
in nature, but I make a synthetic sugar by using bacteria, and I use that bacteria to turn the cellulose into hydrogen, yes?
All right.
And, but it ends up with a sugar that's bent to the left.
What?
And so lots of sugar that's bent to the left isn't going to be too good per se. It's broken down to a fatty acid, but a certain amount of that might be okay. But,
yeah, I think that
but it wouldn't be
fine.
right if everything was made that way, right? Okay. Also, too, if plants give and produce a sweetness for us, how good is that? That's disaccharide. But you do go overboard excessively with disaccharide, and it's processed, and so the sweet and the sour part of it, the bitter, has been taken out. And all you're left with is something which is a disaccharide, and so it empties out of the tummy, yes? And so now it raises somatostatin, and somatostatin blocks human growth hormone.
Oh, man.
You see a lot of things. So I'm only just saying that if something is from nature, it's going to be a bit better for us, and it's going to leave us with our reward, our pleasure, and reward sort of system, like our soughtness to get things. So dopamine causes you to be searched to get things. Where you've got things done, it is because you've got enough dopamine. Behaviour creates dopamine. Behavior creates serotonin. Behavior causes you to feel oxytocin, release of oxytocin, and be connected to people. And so 5-hydroxytryptophan is the very substance that you need to make serotonin. And without a little bit of sweet and these sorts of things, that can be not so produced as it could be, perhaps, you see? And so, do you think...
Now, why this is important as being part of Where Have You Been continued is because where were you at the time when you figured all this out?
I went to study various things that would be to do with the brain and reward and
what
search.
Part of the country were you in?
In this particular case, I'd be down in Louisiana and
really?
Learning the work of a famous person at the time who absolutely understood something very critical for me in the research, and that was to do with how the frontal cortex and the areas of your brain, like the septal region in particular, was involved in connecting our frontal cortex more. And so then that caused me to do research that showed and proved, matter of fact, Axel, that you only get into your frontal cortex, which is your faculty to inspire creative influence of the future, by interest and pleasure.
Okay, now we're getting somewhere. All right.
So as interest and pleasure exists, it's like a door. It's like knocking on a door to get into the frontal cortex. Can you imagine that? It's like you've got interest and pleasure and you're like kind of wonder, interest.
It's open.
And you're knocking on the door, you see. And so now the door can be opened up. But if you didn't get to the door because it wasn't pleasurable, it wasn't interesting, you didn't go forward, you went backwards somewhere.
You ignore it.
Or you used direction in the wrong way. You see. So direction going forward, toward, and having things within is more you being associated to life more versus outside, away from, inside the vestibular system as you're languaging things, which we could hear and tell that you're more dissociated relative, you see. And what's the value of being dissociated, like, being away from or outside, can be because some comfort can exist, but it could be dissonant, use of getting away from versus moving toward. But when you're in toward and within, you're more or less just in a whole brain pattern state. And so for me, I was able to see research, hardcore more or less, that how do you get access to your back of your brain from the front, and what an emotion does to cause brain activity or not. Yes?
Wow.
And so I saw that I could easily draw up an instrument in neurology which could easily show a neurologist that was listening what areas of your brain that you're using. But if they could see you in the process of thinking, they could see how are you using your brain, you see? So, for instance, you could see that you feel, you hear, and you see. Everyone uses those senses differently, but there can be sensory system deletions.
I heard early on in, is it neurology?
Neurology.
They had to use a flashlight and shine it on somebody's head to see their brain.
Well, today you could, not necessarily have to see a flashlight per se, but you could use a flashlight to see how quick the reflex of the eyes work, and if they work right, and you can tell straight away if parasympathetic system is regulated properly, just with the eye bringing the light, and 2-3 times you can see straight away how does the eye relate reflex-wise to a light that's suddenly just shining more or less. But in the process of that, I might look right into the pupil to see what the opaqueness is of the eye to determine sort of how much cataract material someone might have.
What if their pupil's like wide open?
Typically it is because you've got amphetamine types of feelings. Love more will cause your eyes to more be dilated versus if somebody's mad, their eyes will become like pinballs, sort of.
Oh, very interesting.
But behavior, of course, really does this, you see. So pleasure is some a rewardedness, and dopamine is, if you've got plenty of that, it's sort of you're searching,
Okay.
Where somebody goes, oh, I'm not searching for nothing, or I really want something but I'm not doing anything. It's like, yeah, that's not too much dopamine. It's got to be made in the gut.
Dopamine.
And, yeah.
Wait a minute. I thought it was from the brain, dopamine.
That's right. You're gutting the brain and braining the gut, and you've got a brain in the gut as you've got to, you've got to gut the mind.
Yeah.
You see, so they're connected.
Yes.
50% of dopamine is made in the
gut.
Yes, and 90-something% of serotonin is made in the
gut.
Yes. Okay.
What?
So
see, I thought both of those were also created in the brain.
No. Yeah.
Huh.
It's all to do with impulsivity and your executive guidance, you see, your capacity for eating and resting and for sleep and wakefulness and this sort of thing, your mood elevation, and serotonin is involved in you going, I think I've got this.
I think what helps is wakefulness.
Once you go through life and you feel you've got this, you've got serotonin.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah, what if you go through life and go, I don't think I've got this?
Ugh, no serotonin.
No serotonin, right. What if I go, geez, I'd like to go do this, but I'm not doing it? Meaning low
cortisol?
Dopamine.
Cortisol?
Yeah, cortisol can be high, very. What happens if I'm eating all the time? And so ghrelin, which is a hormone which is released, would ordinarily is no longer released. Ghrelin is not released. So when ghrelin is not released, you're not going to have melatonin and all sorts of things, as a matter of fact. So where you've got some dysregulation of your brain reward system, it's because somebody's got to eat potato chips through the day, or they've got to eat this, snack on that, and do things. Why? Well, because, it's the only way they get a bit of dopamine and serotonin. It's like, whoa, you see. It absolutely blocks and stops stuff and creates gastritis and all sorts of things. But cholecystokinin, which mediates digestion, doesn't get released properly if somebody's eating foodstuffs, like coming back full circle. We're not supposed to eat left bent sugars.
See, and that's the problem. And that's why if I'm out there promoting myself, I let everybody know I'm a sugar that goes the right way.
That's right. Everything is more...
I'm not a left bent sugar.
Sweet. That's actually bent to the right.
No.
And there is no such thing as a sugar that's bent to the left.
Unless it's
but
man-made.
Something can taste sweet, but it's actually synthetic. It's not quite right.
Yeah.
And so these are things which is going on, and those are things that's not useful, but it'd be better for somebody to have cane sugar than something which is really not made from a natural sugar, you see? Yeah?
Seems like everything we eat and touch is not quite right.
Well, when it's not, somatostatin is released.
Oh, really?
And it blocks and stops insulin.
I'm experiencing that right now.
And it stops also T3 and T4. From thyroid.
Uh-oh.
Also, it inhibits calcitonin. So when you've got excessive protein with complex carbs all combined, when somebody's not monophasic, but they're triphasic or diphasic in the way that they eat, these are all things that eventually cause gastritis. And then the biggest symptom that most everybody goes to ever see a doctor for really is some condition of the digestive disturbance and things, the most. And you've got a distribution of synapses, which are little spaces between your nerve, and dopamine and serotonin have to be in a proper axis, and they are made in the brain of the gut. And if it's expanded beyond what it should be, it sort of shows that 10, 20, 30 pounds of debris is just still in the gut, in fact, you see, and never ever defecated out. So those are things which ferment and putrefy, you see. Yes?
Yep. Yes.
Massively, matter of fact.
Yeah.
And create a moroseness.
Is that what they call a food buzz?
Food buzz always is because someone's got a condition which is toxic. And so because deficiency exists, toxin goes in, and now it blocks and stops hormonal function and things. And so suddenly people got mitochondrial dysfunction. And they're really not transporting sodium properly, or the bicarb channel in the membrane of a cell, because they've had a lot of rock salt they've eaten a lot of food which is omega-3, omega-6, omega-9, which is rancid. And
I had rancid bacon once, and it was terrible.
well, all fats from an animal pretty much is going to be rancid because
at a restaurant,
it's got omega-3 and omega-6 and omega-9 in excess, and those are unstable fats.
Now, you're really good at breaking down words and explaining like where they're from and why they originated. Can you break down hormone for me?
Yeah. Absolutely. A hormone, as you sort, when you're moaning, it's sort of some need. Yes.
Okay.
So a moan is sort of a need. That's what it means.
So
moaning means to whinge. You whinge or whine about something.
Okay, moan.
Yeah, moaning.
Whinge or whine about something.
You go.
Okay. Now, what about the other part?
Well, whore.
Yes.
Whore just means, it's some some slavish need must be satisfied.
Oh, okay.
And so a moan to whore is really a substance which gets things going and prepares things for something else to happen.
So our
over
hormones
time.
For us, are hormones us needing something, or are hormones us fixing or satisfying something?
Oh, I see. So when you want a partner, for instance, if in young men or young women, they want partnership in things, and pheromone and all those are things which can trigger someone more to be in a crowd, and they like that armpit smell is part of the condition, see. And over time, somebody may be not looking anymore for that way, and so they're not triggered as much by armpit smell or the memory of it.
Should I not wear deodorant?
No one requires deodorant that's vegetarian, you see.
What?
Right. No one. No, not a single soul. No.
So we don't need deodorant.
The idea that someone who's vegetarian, they don't have any putrefaction whatsoever.
Really?
None. No, not a single thing.
All right.
And their body remains limp as they die, you see. So it doesn't get set rigor mortis in straight away.
Wow.
You see.
So vegetarians
are more saint-like, that's right. People who are flesh eaters, they're cannibals, and nature wants to take you out.
It all depends on how you look at it now. Vegetarians, are you saying rigor mortis does not set in right away, so they stay softer longer?
Rigor mortis might never set in for a saint, that's right.
For vegetarian?
For plant-based, that's correct. Yeah, because there's nothing in our body that's meant to kill animals and think you're going to feel good and snack on them afterward and get some pleasure. It's quite insane.
Is it? It's widespread.
Well, it's insane that so many animals have to be murdered just because you're going to have a braided of a celly.
Hey, it doesn't have to be murdered. I just want a piece of the animal. I don't want the whole thing.
Yeah, well, you see, what happened
like
when somebody
leg. It could still
could have just got
legs.
olives from a tree, now they have to chase lamb butt.
There you go.
Will getting olives from a tree be sustainable, or in a drought, will chasing lamb butt be sustainable?
I think that would make a great T-shirt. I love lamb butt.
Lambert.
Well, it's good to know.
Lambert is a name, of course, that's cute. I don't know that what's cute, somebody then wants to snack on what's cute. It's sort of like incongruent.
I don't know. A lot of candy is cute. Right?
Yeah. Well, you don't have to chase that candy.
That's by design.
It's right there, given, versus like the butt of a lamb. It's kind of a bit strange.
Got to work for
First,
that.
you have to murder, don't you?
Yep.
And you've got to cause animals to feel okay about your carnivorous activity. And it's a
I try
drastic.
not to eat in front of them.
Yeah. So most don't know that cats and dogs are not carnivores. So
Really?
that's a big surprise, isn't
Wait,
it?
dogs? Come on. Dogs love meat.
I would say, modern domesticated men might think that way.
Yeah, that's right. That's how I
But
think.
that is not the way domesticated men thought in the past.
Wow.
No, it's an aberration.
Well, how far back? Because, way back in the past, the man could not provide meat for the whole family and the dog.
To me, eat was a sin, because you've got to start to talk about how do you turn your feeling off to kill.
Well, okay, is that what the Bible's for, right? For one, to teach you to kill an animal. And then, what are we going to do with it? Might as well eat it.
Oh, no, I'm asking you, listening, you've to kill an animal, right?
I've done it before, but that was just as a kid playing around.
I noticed that you really crunch your eyebrows, you squeeze down when you talk about killing, and you're laughing a little bit. Do you have a feeling that no sufferedness existed?
Oh, it exists all the time.
Well, for the animal and your habit.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm just saying, you see an apple. Do you have a feeling when you bend down and pick the apple up from the ground? And I mean, that's a problem for you?
No.
Okay, and it's not a problem either to kill a duck.
I've never killed a duck.
No, I'm asking you.
People eat it. I'm not a
No,
I
I'm
really
just,
don't
well,
eat
okay,
duck.
so let's just call it duck for now.
Okay.
Okay, because a lot of people do.
Yeah, it's fine.
And don't matter about that, because
Okay.
I'm sorry, but it's sort of avoiding the question, see?
Not really, because
it is, because I just
don't
asked
eat
you.
duck.
No, well,
I don't
I'm
think
just,
I've ever ate
yeah,
duck.
but okay, so let's say you're preparing food for other people,
Okay.
and they like duck.
Okay.
So now you got to kill a duck, right?
Somebody does.
Okay, so is that the same as killing a fish or no? No, it's not. No, a duck is a vegetable, right?
I'm not
Ducks
very good at
don't
fishing.
think. Yeah. Okay, but what about lamb butt?
Fish
Does lamb
don't
butt
think.
Okay,
Ducks do.
Is lamb butt a vegetable?
No, lamb is not a vegetable.
Okay, so what would have been an animal that you would have snacked on?
Beef. I love beef.
Okay, so a cow,
Yes.
a steer,
Yes.
like a castrated male.
Sure. Yeah. Why not?
Okay, so you're looking at a castrated male now, and go ahead. What do you do?
You kill it and you eat it.
Okay, so what do you do? How do you feel? You're killing the animal.
It depends on why
No,
you're
I'm
doing
asking
it.
you. You're
If
feeling.
I'm wasting
No, I'm
cow,
asking you. You're feeling. That's
I feel
all.
bad.
Say
know.
again.
If I'm wasting the cow, I feel bad. But if I know the cow is going to a good family,
So what you're telling me is that you don't really feel in your heart. It's sort of mixed up a lot.
yeah,
It is with this question.
yeah, because
It's not congruent. No. You get the same feeling when you bend over and pick an apple up?
no.
I see. So, in other words, what's natural for you is just to bend over and pick an apple up, but it's sort of, if you see something fluttering,
It's
no,
more
wait a
work.
minute, no, hold on.
Way
Imagine,
more work.
imagine just for a moment, you see something fluttering across the table,
Okay,
all right? You want to just jump on it and snack on it quickly?
not if it's moving.
Well, but if you were a carnivore, you would, wouldn't you?
If I was a bear or like
Now,
a
if something's
tiger,
flapping right now,
absolutely,
you want to snack on it.
I'd eat it.
Okay. So, but you don't have an instinct, something flapping, it's like you want to eat it.
No, I don't have that instinct.
When you look at a steer, does it make you drool?
No,
Okay, but now you got to kill the animal, and you just said you have to turn.
somebody's
No, wait a minute. I see it's voiding. You just told me to kill the animal, you have to turn your feelings off in your heart, right?
Sure.
So you'd have to learn to feel again, wouldn't you?
I think that's part of growing up.
No, but I'm asking you, you'd have to learn to feel again, wouldn't you?
I don't know, I guess. I've never really thought about
Which
it.
you would have to guess, but you just said to me that you have to control the feeling to kill the animal.
It depends
it's not a
on
natural
why
thing.
You're killing it.
So it's okay for you to. How do you feel when you kill the animal?
It depends on why.
No, I'm asking you. How do you feel when you? How do you feel when you're killing the animal?
Well, you don't feel good, right? Some people feel great.
I don't know.
And good for them.
Well, then they still have to learn. They have to learn how to feel again in their heart, right?
I guess.
Yes,
Maybe they
because-
can. If you can turn it off, you can turn it
listen, I've just said it's natural for you to feel wrong about murder. Simple. That's it. That's all.
Okay.
That's all.
on. All right.
Yeah, that's all.
There you
okay?
go.
Period. So, being incongruent about that. No. Sorry. You just don't feel right about murder. That's it. Okay? And you have to fix your feeling up to do
Well,
it.
that's
No,
a good
wait a
sign.
minute. Yeah, you do. You have to fix your feeling up to do
That's
it.
a good sign.
Yes, you do. You reckon that's a man? A man is somebody who can fix his feeling up, right? To
Yes.
actually move. You see? See, this is not a man. This is Beast Barrack.
Beast Barrack.
Yeah,
You brought
it's-
that up. What is a
Beast
remind what Beast Barrack is for everybody?
Beast Barrack blames women for the woes of the world and has no care about children whatsoever, and will commit murder and doesn't even care about actually tuning into their heart whatsoever. And it's okay that you get killed if you did doing your job. There could be a bit of blue on green because you're just green and that's blue above you. And you'd have to accept maybe dying. Yes, because you've got to fice of your sack yourself. You have to fice sack yourself. And, you have to fice sack. It's called to fice sack. And it's called sacrifice, So,
There's a song like that.
but to do those things, you've to turn your feelings off in your heart, right? You can't feel normal.
I think it depends on the individual.
Yeah, because deviance could be normalised, right?
Sure.
Would you think that
I think a lot
deviant
of the
behaviour is
deviance
being
has been
normalised? Yeah.
as of late. It's been normalized.
So
over
you don't
decades.
think that that's not an
Yeah, it's
asymmetric?
coming out.
You don't think that's an asymmetric war tactic?
Sure, I do.
You don't think that that's pennies on the dollar?
Oh, it's all about money.
Why would you want to spend such a fortune in something that goes into outer space when you can, for 6 cents, you've done something on the ground?
That's in our nature to explore.
Could words be more like, metal that would have exploded out of something and it's sort of ideas exploding in people's head?
I think my mind has been exploded many times or blown just by talking to you.
Well, the regulation of your reward, your brain reward system,
low, very low.
is a perfect balance of serotonin and dopamine, and it assists you to help regulate your mood and your appetite. And so if you have an eating slender, you always feel, wow, I feel really good after I did this. And so you do that. And you stop doing the things which I don't feel good after I do this. Like I cannot do anything. And then I've got to give exercise away as a bad joke.
What about, okay, I'm going to give you 2 items. Which one would be better to eat? Caviar or chicken, Kentucky Fried Chicken? What would be better to eat?
Okay, this is what's happened to you, hasn't it, at school?
What?
That just what you just said to me. You're
What?
doing it, aren't you?
No, I'm asking you a
No, well,
question.
where did you get that straw man argument from?
It's not an argument.
Yes,
it's
it
a
is.
question.
No, it's an argument.
An argument.
No, it's an
means,
argument. No, but it is.
It's a
It is
question.
arguing for a fetish about
No.
first caviar, because that's first.
I've never had it.
Oh, so you don't mention what's
That's
first
why I'm
first.
asking.
Well, caviar
I've
was first.
experienced
And what was the
Kentucky
other
Fried
one?
Chicken.
Second? And Kentucky Fried Chicken was second.
I've had that.
And what if that doesn't satisfy someone's care and so on?
Well, that's too bad for them.
Yeah, because that's called a straw man argument, isn't it?
I don't know.
Yes, it is. Yeah, that's what's been given to you in thinking.
The Kentucky
No, lots
Fried
of thinking
Chicken has been
isn't
given to me.
logical, you see.
I've never been
We
given
start with
caviar.
a complex equivalent.
I'm just simplifying what you're talking
But
about.
we're not designed to eat eggs of fish.
Or chicken.
We're not designed to eat anything that's flesh. What, you got to kill the animals, and we've gone on to killing the animals and like getting a bit of pleasure.
Somebody has to.
You're
do it.
getting a bit of pleasure from killing animals.
Maybe I get pleasure for being above
Well,
it.
you're getting pleasure below.
And I think that's a good rule.
The
Don't
pain and
eat
suffering.
anything that's above you.
Yeah, but you see, you're dissociated from that pain and suffering to do it, right?
Maybe.
Well, what happens if you've got to go to the abattoir to get it?
To who?
You've got to go see the animal get killed.
then I probably would become vegetarian.
Yeah, so we only have got that way because we didn't associate ourselves to the pain and suffering. And
I have a lot of faith in technology.
Well, but is there a better way?
Of course there is, and with technology, there'll be the best way.
Yes, but is it more technological that you know that you're plant-based?
That's fine.
No, but I'm asking you, would it be more technological if somebody knew that they're monophasic?
I think it would help.
You eat once a day. Would it be technological if you knew that live food doesn't have any stone-making material in it?
I think if what you're trying to tell, if you're telling everybody, all our listeners, that they should only eat once a day, that's not going to sell a lot of when we get sponsors.
Yes, you see, I think that something which is an athletic effort, right, has degrees of it, and some people just don't make an effort, as you point out, and they never have. But then there's people listening and they really are athletes about what they do, yeah? And they want to take aboard things which make sense. And so lots of people won't really take anything aboard too much. Why? Because, as you pointed out, many people are dissident. And so do they get into their frontal cortex? No. Because they're avoiding, ding, 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 avoid ding, 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 ding. Yeah.
So by avoiding something in your mind,
you're into don't, want, can't, should, try, but, must, only, never, always. And it's exclusive.
So we must get over that feeling of avoiding.
You want to eat. Why? Because, you have to feel satisfied. Yeah. Because what you did was have a thought that was not satisfied at all.
What thought was that?
Any thought which is a don't, want, can't, should, try, but, must, only isn't going to have serotonin. Serotonin you get when you feel, I think I've got this. You really? It's like, I think I've got this. It's like, wow. And how good are you at the factory at feeling you got it? Like, oh, pretty good. I grow that and amplify it. Now you've got serotonin. And if you're the type of person conscientious, you get things done, you look back and go, wow, no, I really accomplished this because you chunk things down and you get things done. You're conscientious.
Can I get serotonin in a pill form?
We think we could get serotonin by not doing anything, and what we're doing is wasting our life fully. And we learn how to waste our life. And this is called, that's a womb space. And so, like, after that, there's no more, learning, really. I've shut learning down. And also, what else have you done? You've shut your own interactedness and usefulness also.
I think a lot of people would relate to worm space.
If I only just poop and shave myself and sleep and pee and shampoo and shower, that's it. It's like... I think you and I, we were all designed to assist, to help in a mutual lived assistance. And the first principle is to wash your bowl. Well, no, blow your candle out at 1. Second is wash your bowl. And so if you never did these things at 1, you never blew a candle out, how would you know that you could influence the world with your breath? Second, if you never washed a bowl, how would you ever know that I'm in service where things are and this is your social power? You'd have no social power and you'd be rudderless and stateless. And is this an asymmetric warfare to be put so that you never examined it, but it caused you to be other than integrated, congruent and associated in your life?
Sure.
I mean, these are... and so, like, if I mention how genius, for instance, yes, examples like Joan of Arc.
She was a genius?
Helena of Troy.
Genius?
Cleopatra.
Genius.
Florence Nightingale.
Wow. Wait, now Florence Nightingale, was she a nurse?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where they came up with Florence Nightingale syndrome?
No, that's where they came up with care and compassion
Okay.
in spirituality.
Really?
Having care and compassion, yeah.
When
She
did
was a great example.
When did she exist?
She's existing here inside you versus a cardboard box in a time frame. No, sorry.
Wait, hold on.
We're talking about Florence Nightingale. So.
I know.
Well, you're talking about genius.
Well,
Let's stay with genius.
Was this a person?
Let's stay with genius. Yeah, all these people
Okay,
are genius.
when was she?
Madame Curie. You know any other geniuses? Give me some more geniuses now, quickly.
Elon Musk.
Okay, so let's not give any male geniuses right now. So
Any
tell me some
male?
female geniuses, quickly.
Hold on.
No, tell me some female geniuses.
Because they're out there.
No, tell me
There's
some
quite a
female
few.
geniuses right now, quick.
Hold on.
No, I can't. It's
There was
wrong.
the one that designed the.
One.
No, she designed the missiles, right? Like something guided missiles.
I see. So you're only into guided missiles.
No.
You reckon that's a great thing? I'd question the things you're coming out with as a male.
No, hold on, man. They're out there. You just put me on the spot, right?
Yeah.
And
Okay. So,
I
but
go
how
blank
can you
when
cannot
people
come up
put me
with
on the spot.
women geniuses? Tell me quickly.
Carol Burnett is a genius.
Okay, well, there's some really great actors for sure, and I would incorporate all these people as great genius. Yeah, incredible. Matter of fact, some incredible women are great genius in their acting and things, the same as men. Yes, incredible. Matter of fact, and they're the best, aren't they?
They're pretty good.
They're very good. Yes, right. So, do you have a feeling that something's being lived in the gap between the beats?
Sure. Right?
That which is actually
Would that be like
more?
dark matter?
I think it's really you and I. What's going on between the beats? Actually, you see. So if somebody feels satisfied, do they need?
Not as much.
And if they don't have need, they won't have pain?
It would be limited, I'm sure.
They won't have pain. That's right. Yeah. So do you have a feeling that if I have a lot of artificial need, I'll have a lot of artificial pain?
Absolutely.
Is the body going to live what it speaks and speaks what it lives because every single word you use it as a physiology, and that, you know, what you imagine the body's going to feel the same way?
So every word we use affects our body.
As a physiology.
Wow.
It is a physiology. It's engaging a physiology.
That's pretty deep.
Yeah. So if I say a challenge that we have is to be at the end of this, just something has gone on and now you have an eating slender strategy installed, because like what we said, and then we've gone on to other things so that you don't have to remember that, but that's sort of like an example of an embedded command that's gone on and it's looped over and now it's put into the unconscious mind. And so before you go to eat something, you're thinking to yourself, gee, I wonder if that how it feels in my body after I've eaten it. And it modifies what you choose to eat.
Which is important.
Yeah.
I think if a lot of people, including myself, took the time to think about what they're going to have to eat before they go and just start grabbing stuff and eating it.
You're going to have a nice amount of GABA, aren't you? You'll have GABA and you'll be more relaxed in your brain.
Yeah.
You'll be more regulated of your brain reward system. You won't have any disorder to have to continue to have some discharge going on. So as you ate something to get dopamine, you ate something to have serotonin.
Can somebody say, GABA your brain?
You could say mind your gut and gut your mind.
What about GABA your brain? If I wanted to make a T-shirt.
GABA your brain?
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Okay. I like it.
Oxalic acid is released by trees when it doesn't want you to eat it anymore.
Oh, yeah. So they do that with
Disaccharide
giraffes.
sugars are released when the plant goes, I don't want you to eat me anymore,
giraffes.
because it gets so much of that gets you only so much you can turn it off because you've got an allostatic sense, but it only works for natural things. It doesn't work for not natural things. So, you know, if you have a plum or a peach, you've got an allostatic sense that can tell you if you've had enough of that. But if a bag of Doritos is there, it's designed to trick your senses.
You know, I was fine all day until you just said it, Doritos.
Yes. Oh, well, I mean, flavorable things like bacon and eggs, if that's a drug, and that's not equivalent to a cherimoya. Somebody often will just do the drug and then not bother with the cherimoya. Why? Because the taste bud's never been turned off properly from, except for stretch receptor.
Well, and that's a great point, because I think in the future, all our meals are going to be in pill form. If we're lucky, maybe granola bar form. And it's going to be efficient and healthy.
The experience of being able to eat things together and prepare has been long-standing, and I don't know
It's beautiful. I love it.
Changed around much.
Hey, it's one of my favorite
more
things.
Romantic. If you're going to have a dinner with
People
somebody,
are going to be efficient in every way, and there's going to be no more dinners, no more lunches, no more breakfast. You're just going to pop a pill and get everything you need from it.
I have a feeling that live food is something we should sort of start to notice, and that the idea that actually people consume things and that we could have a sustainable future is really more useful. The idea that some calorie restriction could exist, but the idea that eating doesn't have a pastime or eating doesn't have a social condition of it, it's pretty much like somebody only a small amount of capacity to have empathics. Because eating and food is engaging empathics, yeah?
Sure. I'm just trying to keep up, y'all. I'm just trying to keep up. But let me tell you something. That is it for today. So, we talked about a lot of wonderful things that Dr. David Jubb here learned on his journey in Louisiana. Wow, that's a lot of stuff. I don't think I can take much more of all that to fit in my brain right now. So we're just gonna have to continue this again, do like part 3 of Jubb Talk, Dr. David Jubb's journeys. Doctor, what would you like to leave our listeners with today?
I think a track less travelled is the one that's the best, and what's memorable. You could really think so many things pass by, isn't it, but not memorable. But for me, I'm looking for a good head, something that's already shaped a bit. I just have to put a little bit of an edge to it. I don't have to do much, and I've got an axe head. It's very nice, you see. So, something can say, pick me, and that's how it happens, versus, I'm going out looking for something.
So you're saying a path less traveled is the path to take?
Yes, because, I would ask everyone that's to wrap it up, that what you imagine and what's real, the body perceives the same way.
Man, I tell you what, it never is. All right, folks, we'll see you again. Have a safe and wonderful day.